Adam Bennett thought he had grown used to life pinning him against the wall, raising a 6-year-old daughter alone, drowning in debt, working a job that barely kept them afloat. But that morning, when he was summoned to the 36th floor to meet the most powerful woman in the company, everything went far beyond the fear of being fired. Luna Sterling did not fire him. She looked him straight in the eye and said, "I need you to pretend to be my husband for 1 year." Adam froze. Then he asked the only question that mattered, half joking, half serious. "So, we're sharing a bed?" And that was when the real trouble began. It was 8:45 on a Monday night when Adam Bennett's phone buzzed on the corner of his desk. He was hunched over his laptop in the dim glow of the office, typing another bland tagline for a product no one would remember. The screen read, "Daycare." He swiped it open and heard the tired voice of Miss Carter on the other end, telling him his daughter had a fever and needed to be picked up early the next morning if it did not break by then. He said he would be there. He always was. Adam hung up and rubbed his eyes, the kind of exhaustion that came from juggling too many things at once and dropping most of them. He had been doing this for 3 years now, ever since his wife died and left him with a 6-year-old, a pile of medical bills, and a life that felt like it was held together with duct tape and hope. He saved the document, shut down his computer, and grabbed his jacket. The office was nearly empty. Most people had left hours ago. Adam was halfway to the elevator when he turned the corner too fast and collided with someone coming the other way. A leather portfolio slipped from her hands and hit the floor, papers scattered across the polished tile. Adam dropped to his knees immediately. He said sorry and started gathering the documents. The woman crouched across from him, her movements precise and controlled. He looked up and recognized her instantly. Luna Sterling, Vice President, the kind of person who did not make small talk in the break room and did not need to. She was 29, cold in the way that powerful people often were, and she rarely spoke to anyone below the executive floor. She reached for the portfolio at the same time he did. Their hands did not touch, but the air between them felt tight. Adam handed her the folder and stood. Luna straightened, her expression unreadable. She thanked him without warmth and turned to leave. That should have been the end of it. But it was not, because Adam noticed something she had missed. A sealed envelope, cream-colored and embossed, half hidden beneath a filing cabinet near the wall. He picked it up and called out to her. Luna stopped, turned back. He jogged toward her, holding the envelope out like it might explode if he held it too long. Luna took it from him and opened her purse. She pulled out 5 crisp $100 bills and held them toward him. Adam stared at the money, then at her. He shook his head and said he was just returning something that was not his. He did not need to be paid for that. Luna's eyes narrowed slightly, as if she were trying to solve a puzzle she had not expected to encounter. She asked if he was sure. Adam said he was. Then he walked away, leaving her standing there in the hallway with the money still in her hand. What Adam did not know was that Luna Sterling did not forget things like that. She went back to her office and pulled up the employee directory. Adam Bennett, copywriter, lower tier, single father. Financial history, strained. No corporate alliances. No connections to her brother Derek. She leaned back in her chair and considered it. Derek had been circling her position for years, quietly dismantling everything she tried to build. Luna needed someone clean. Someone she could control. Adam Bennett fit the profile perfectly. 7 days later, Adam received an email from Human Resources. He was being summoned to the 36th floor at 9 in the morning. No explanation. No context. Just a meeting request with Luna Sterling's name attached to it. Adam read it 3 times, trying to figure out what he had done wrong. He showed up at 8:55, wearing the only suit he owned that still fit. The 36th floor was glass and steel, all sharp edges and cold light. A receptionist directed him to a conference room at the end of the hall. He walked in, and found Luna sitting at the head of a long table. She gestured to the chair across from her. Adam sat. Luna did not waste time. She told him she had reviewed his employment record. She said he was competent, reliable, and unremarkable. Then she said something that made his stomach drop. She needed him to do something for her, something that had nothing to do with his job. Luna told him about her father's will. The company had been left to her, but there was a clause. The person in control of Sterling Marketing Solutions had to be married. If Luna did not marry before her 30th birthday, control of the company would transfer to Derek. Adam asked when her birthday was. Luna said in 11 months. She said she needed a husband, not a real one. A contract. 12 months. No emotion. No complications. Just a performance. Adam asked why him. Luna said because he had no reason to refuse. She had done her research. He owed over $120,000 in medical debt from his wife's illness. He was 2 months behind on rent. His daughter's daycare was barely covered. Luna could fix all of that. She could erase his debt, double his salary, provide health insurance, and set up an education fund for his daughter. All he had to do was play the role. Adam asked what playing the role meant. Luna said it meant moving into her penthouse, attending family dinners, posing for photographs, convincing her brother and the board that they were a real couple. Adam asked the question that had been sitting in his throat since the moment she started talking. He asked if they would be sharing a bed. Luna's expression did not change. She said only when necessary, only when they needed to convince someone who mattered. Adam told her he needed 24 hours to think about it. Luna said that was fine. She stood, handed him a folder with the terms written out in legal language he barely understood, and walked him to the door. That night, Adam sat in his daughter's room and watched her sleep. She was small for her age, her breathing soft and steady. He thought about the life he was giving her, the cramped apartment, the second-hand clothes, the constant fear that one bad month would put them on the street. He thought about what Luna was offering: stability, security, a future that did not involve him lying awake at 3 in the morning, doing math in his head and coming up short every time. He picked up his phone and typed out a message. He told Luna he would do it, but his daughter stayed out of it. No publicity, no involvement. Luna replied within 2 minutes. She agreed. Adam set the phone down and closed his eyes. He had just sold himself. He was not sure if that made him smart or desperate. Probably both. The contract was signed 3 days later in a lawyer's office downtown. Everything was there. The money, the timeline, the rules. No emotional attachment. No physical relationship unless required for appearances. Termination clause after 12 months. He signed his name at the bottom and watched Luna do the same. She shook his hand. It felt like sealing a business deal, which, he supposed, it was. He moved in on a Friday. The penthouse was cold and immaculate, the kind of place that looked like it had been staged for a magazine shoot. Luna showed him to a guest room at the far end of the hall. She told him the rules again. No crossing boundaries, no personal questions, no expectations beyond what was written in the contract. Adam set his bag down and looked around the room. It was bigger than his entire apartment. He felt like an intruder. That Sunday, they attended their first family dinner at the Sterling estate. Derek was there, leaning against the bar with a glass of whiskey in his hand. He smiled when he saw Adam, the kind of smile that did not reach his eyes. He walked over and shook Adam's hand, his grip just a little too tight. Derek said it was a surprise. He had not known Luna was seeing anyone. Luna said they had kept it quiet. Derek asked how they met. Adam said at the office. Derek raised an eyebrow and asked what Adam did. Luna cut in before Adam could answer. She said Adam was in marketing. Derek nodded slowly, his gaze lingering on Adam like he was trying to find the lie. Dinner was stiff and formal. Adam sat beside Luna. his hand resting on the back of her chair, because that was what a husband would do. Luna placed her hand over his at one point, a brief touch that looked natural but felt rehearsed. Derek watched them from across the table. On the drive home, Luna said Derek did not believe them. Adam asked how she knew. She said, because Derek never believed anything she did was real. That night, Adam lay in his bed in the guest room and stared at the ceiling. He thought about the 12 months ahead of him and wondered if he would survive them. Then he closed his eyes and tried to sleep. He did not succeed. The first 2 weeks in the penthouse felt like living in a museum, where Adam was both the exhibit and the security guard. Luna left for the office before he woke up and returned, after he had already eaten dinner, alone at the kitchen island. They exchanged maybe 10 sentences a day, most of them logistical. That was the extent of their marriage. Adam spent his evenings on the couch, flipping through television channels he did not care about, waiting for the clock to tell him it was acceptable to go to bed. On weekends, he went back to his old apartment to see his daughter. Those were the only hours that felt real. 3 weeks after he moved in, Luna told him they had another family dinner. This one was different. It was at a restaurant downtown, the kind of place where the waiters wore white gloves and the menu did not list prices. Derek would be there. So would 2 other board members. Luna said they needed to be convincing. They arrived 15 minutes early. Luna wore a black dress that looked expensive and unforgiving. Adam wore the same suit he had worn to sign the contract. They sat across from each other at a table near the window, waiting. Luna told him to relax. Adam said he was relaxed. She said he looked like he was about to be interrogated. He said that was because he was. Derek arrived exactly on time, flanked by 2 older men in tailored suits. He greeted Luna with a kiss on the cheek that looked affectionate and felt like a threat. Then he turned to Adam and extended his hand. They sat down, and the performance began. Derek asked how married life was treating them. Luna said it was an adjustment. One of the board members, an older man with silver hair and a voice like gravel, asked Adam what he did at the company. Adam said he was a copywriter. The man asked if that was how he and Luna had met. Adam said yes. Luna reached across the table and placed her hand over Adam's. She said they had kept it quiet because they did not want office gossip. Derek watched the whole exchange without saying a word. When the appetizers arrived, he finally spoke again. He said he had always thought Luna would end up with someone from their circle, someone who understood the family business. Luna said Adam understood more than Derek gave him credit for. Derek said he hoped so, because the company was not kind to people who did not belong. By the time they left, Adam's jaw hurt from clenching it. Luna did not speak on the drive home. When they got back to the penthouse, she poured herself a glass of wine and stood by the window, looking out at the city below. Adam asked if she thought they had pulled it off. Luna said Derek did not believe them. She turned to face him, and for the first time since he had met her, she looked tired. Not just physically. Tired in the way people get when they have been fighting too long and are not sure why they are still standing. She said Derek had always been the favorite. Their father had groomed him to take over the company from the time he was 16. Luna had been an afterthought, and then their father had died and left the company to Luna anyway, with one impossible condition attached. Derek had never forgiven her for it. Adam said he was sorry. Luna looked at him like she did not know what to do with the apology. Then she finished her wine and said goodnight. Adam stayed in the living room for another hour, thinking about the woman who had bought his loyalty and wondering if she had ever had anyone in her life who had given it to her for free. The following week, the power went out. A storm rolled through the city, knocking out electricity across 3 neighborhoods. The penthouse went dark just after 10. Luna came into the living room holding her phone like a flashlight. Adam found 2 wine glasses and poured them each a drink. Luna sat on the opposite end of the couch, her legs tucked under her. They sat in the dark for a while without speaking. Then Luna asked him why he had really agreed to this. Adam said she already knew why. She said she knew what the contract said. She wanted to know what he had been thinking when he signed it. Adam took a long drink and said he had been thinking about his daughter, about what kind of father lets his kid grow up poor when he has a chance to fix it. Luna asked if he regretted it. Adam said he did not know yet. He asked if she regretted it. Luna said no. She said she would do whatever it took to keep Derek from winning. Adam said he had walked into it with his eyes open. She did not owe him an apology. Luna looked at him, and in the faint glow of their phones, he could see something shifting in her expression. She said most people would have taken the money and resented her for it. Adam said maybe he still would. But not tonight. They talked until the power came back on, 2 hours later. Luna told him about growing up in the Sterling house, about being invisible until it was convenient for her not to be. Adam told her about his wife, about the last 6 months of her life when the hospital had become their second home. When the lights flickered back to life, they both blinked against the sudden brightness. Luna stood and said she should get back to work. She stopped at the doorway and looked back at him. She said, "Thank you." Adam did not ask what for. The next Saturday, Adam mentioned to Luna over breakfast that he was taking his daughter to the park. Luna surprised him by asking if she could come. She said she wanted to see what his life looked like outside the penthouse. Adam hesitated, then said yes. He was pushing his daughter on the swings when Luna arrived. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, no makeup, her hair pulled back in a way that made her look younger. His daughter noticed her first and asked who the lady was. Adam said she was a friend. Luna walked over and said hello. His daughter asked if Luna was his girlfriend. Adam opened his mouth to answer, but nothing came out. Luna crouched down to his daughter's level and said she was. His daughter asked if that meant Luna was going to be her new mom. Luna looked at Adam, and he could see the panic in her eyes. He told his daughter that was not how it worked. She said okay and went back to the swings. They walked along the edge of the pond while his daughter ran ahead. Luna asked about her. Adam told her the basics. 6 years old, smart, obsessed with dinosaurs. Luna smiled and said she sounded amazing. Adam said she was. Luna asked what his daughter knew about the arrangement. Adam said nothing, and it was going to stay that way. Luna said that was probably smart. She said his daughter was lucky to have him. Adam said he was the lucky one. They stood there for a moment, watching the girl run in circles, laughing at nothing in particular. Then Luna said she should go. Adam said, "Okay." She walked away without looking back. That night, Adam lay in bed and thought about the way Luna had looked at his daughter, not with detached politeness, but with something quieter, something that looked like longing. He wondered what her life would have been like if she had been allowed to want things that were not tied to power or legacy. 2 weeks later, they had their wedding photos taken. It was Luna's idea. She said the family needed proof. The photographer met them at a studio downtown. He posed them in front of a white backdrop, told them to stand closer, to look at each other, to smile like they meant it. The photographer asked them to hold hands. They did. He asked Luna to rest her head on Adam's shoulder. She did. He asked Adam to put his arm around her waist. Adam hesitated. Luna whispered that it was fine. He put his arm around her, and she leaned into him, and for a brief moment, it did not feel like acting. The photographer asked them to look at each other. They did. Adam looked into Luna's eyes and saw something he had not expected. Vulnerability. Fear. The same things he felt every time he thought about the next 10 months. The photographer snapped the photo, and Luna stepped back immediately, the moment breaking like glass. On the drive home, neither of them spoke. When they got back to the penthouse, Luna went straight to her office and closed the door. Adam sat on the couch and stared at the ceiling. He was starting to realize that the lines they had drawn were not as clear as either of them had thought. A month later, Derek sent an email. It was addressed to the entire board, but it was really meant for Luna. He raised concerns about her leadership. He questioned her recent decisions. It was corporate speak for a coup. Luna read it 3 times, her hands shaking with anger. Then she called Adam into her office and told him Derek was making his move. Adam asked what that meant. Luna said it meant Derek was going to try to prove their marriage was fake. He was going to dig into Adam's past, find the contract, and expose everything. Luna said they needed to be more convincing. They needed to act like a real couple, not just at dinners and photo shoots, all the time. The next day, Derek called Adam. He said he wanted to meet, just the 2 of them. Adam agreed, even though every instinct told him it was a trap. Before he left, Luna stopped him. She said Derek would try to buy him off or threaten him. She told Adam to record everything, just in case. Adam nodded and left. They met at a coffee shop near the office. Derek was already there when Adam arrived, sitting in a corner booth. Derek smiled and said he appreciated Adam coming. He said he wanted to be direct. He knew Luna had hired Adam. He knew about the debt. He knew about the contract. He said he did not blame Adam for taking the deal. But Derek said he also knew this was not going to end well. When Luna fell, Adam was going to fall with her. Derek leaned forward and said he was offering Adam a way out. If Adam walked away now, Derek would make sure the contract stayed buried. No one would know. Adam could go back to his life, keep the money Luna had already given him, and move on. All he had to do was disappear. Derek said it was the smart play, the safe play. He asked Adam to think about it. Then he stood and walked out. Adam sat there for a long time after Derek left. He thought about the offer. He thought about his daughter. He thought about the life he could have if he just took the out Derek was giving him. And then he thought about Luna, sitting in that office, working until midnight, fighting a battle she did not know how to win. He thought about the way she had looked at him in the dark when the power was out, the way she had smiled at his daughter in the park. Adam picked up his phone and called Luna. He told her about the meeting. He told her what Derek had offered. And then he told her he was not going anywhere. Luna did not say anything for a long moment. Then she asked him why. Adam said because Derek was wrong. This was not going to end with them falling. It was going to end with them still standing. Luna thanked him, her voice quieter than he had ever heard it. Adam said she didn't need to thank him. He had made his choice. But that night, lying in the guest room, Adam wondered if he had just made the biggest mistake of his life, because Derek was not the kind of man who took no for an answer, and Adam had just put a target on his back. Derek moved faster than Adam had expected. Within a week of their coffee shop conversation, Luna received a notification that an emergency board meeting had been called. The subject line was vague, something about reviewing executive leadership and corporate governance. But Luna knew exactly what it meant. Derek had found something, or he thought he had. Either way, he was ready to make his play. The meeting was scheduled for Thursday morning at 10. Luna told Adam he did not need to come. He said he was coming anyway. She asked why. He said because if Derek was going to burn them both, he wanted to be in the room when it happened. Luna did not argue. The night before the meeting, Adam could not sleep. He lay in bed staring at the dark ceiling, running through every possible scenario in his head. Derek had the contract. He had the financial records. He had proof that Luna had paid off Adam's debts. There was no good way to spin that. Around 3 in the morning, Adam got up and walked to the kitchen. He poured himself a glass of water and stood by the window, looking out at the city lights. He heard footsteps behind him and turned to see Luna standing in the doorway. She was wearing an oversized sweater and sweatpants, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked more human than he had ever seen her. She asked if he was okay. Adam said he was fine. She said he was a terrible liar. Adam asked if she was scared. Luna said yes. She said she had spent her entire life trying to prove she was good enough, and tomorrow Derek was going to stand in front of the board and tell them she was a fraud. Adam said she wasn't a fraud. She said it didn't matter what the truth was. It mattered what they believed. Adam asked what she was going to do. Luna said she was going to tell the truth. She was going to admit that the marriage was a contract. She was going to admit that she had paid him. And then she was going to remind the board that her father's will was outdated and controlling, and that she had been running the company better than Derek ever could. Adam asked if she thought it would work. Luna said no, but it was the only move she had left. They stood there in the kitchen, the silence stretching between them. Then Adam said he wasn't going to let her do this alone. Luna looked at him, and for the first time since he had met her, her mask slipped completely. She asked why he was still here, why he had not taken Derek's offer and walked away when he had the chance. Adam said maybe because he was tired of running, maybe because he had spent 3 years watching his wife die and feeling powerless, and this was the first time in a long time that he felt like he could actually fight for something. Luna said he was going to lose. Adam said maybe, but at least he would lose standing up. Luna smiled, just a little, and said he was either very brave or very stupid. Adam said it was probably both. The boardroom was on the 40th floor, all glass walls and leather chairs. Adam sat beside Luna at the far end of the table, facing Derek and the rest of the board. There were 7 people in total, not counting Luna and Adam. Derek sat at the head of the table, his expression calm and confident. He looked like a man who had already won. The meeting started with pleasantries. The board chair, a man in his 60s named Gregory, thanked everyone for coming on short notice. He said there were some concerns that needed to be addressed regarding leadership stability. Then he turned the floor over to Derek. Derek stood, straightened his tie, and smiled. He said he wanted to start by saying he had nothing but respect for his sister. She had worked hard. She had brought some good ideas to the table. But recently, he had become aware of some troubling information. Information that suggested Luna had not been entirely forthcoming with the board about her personal life. Derek opened a folder and pulled out a stack of documents. He said he had proof that Luna's marriage to Adam Bennett was not what it appeared to be. He laid out the evidence piece by piece. The contract, the financial transfers, the timeline of when Adam's debts had been paid. He said Luna had hired Adam to play the role of her husband so she could satisfy the terms of their father's will. He said it was fraud. He said it was manipulation. He said it called into question her integrity and her fitness to lead the company. The room went silent. All eyes turned to Luna. She sat perfectly still, her hands folded on the table in front of her. Then she stood. She said Derek was right. She had entered into a contract with Adam. She had paid his debts. She had asked him to pretend to be her husband for 1 year. She said all of that was true, and she was not going to apologize for it. Luna said the problem was not that she had hired Adam. The problem was that their father had written a will that treated marriage like a qualification for leadership. She said it was archaic and insulting, and she had done what she needed to do to work around it. She said she had spent the last 3 years increasing revenue by 38%, expanding into 2 new markets, and turning Sterling Marketing Solutions into one of the most respected firms in the industry. She asked the board if any of that would have been possible if Derek had been in charge. Derek said that was not the point. The point was that she had lied. Luna said she had played the game she was forced to play. Derek said she had broken the rules. Luna said the rules were broken to begin with. The two of them stared at each other across the table, and Adam could feel the years of resentment crackling in the air between them. Then Adam stood up. Every head in the room turned toward him. He said he had something to say. Gregory asked if it was relevant. Adam said it was. He said Derek had come to him 2 weeks ago and offered him money to walk away. He said Derek had tried to bribe him into abandoning Luna, so he could expose the contract without interference. He said Derek had not cared about integrity or honesty. He had cared about winning. Derek said that was a lie. Adam pulled out his phone, opened his recording app, and played the audio from their coffee shop meeting. Derek's voice filled the room, offering Adam a way out, promising to bury the contract if Adam disappeared. The board members exchanged glances. Gregory asked Derek if the recording was accurate. Derek said it had been taken out of context. Gregory said it sounded pretty clear. Adam continued. He said Luna had given him access to her internal files to help prepare for this meeting. While reviewing them, he had discovered something. Derek had been using his executive access to monitor Luna's emails and calendar for months. He had been tracking her meetings, her communications with the board, even her personal correspondence. It was a direct violation of company policy and a breach of fiduciary duty. Adam handed Gregory a folder with printed evidence, email logs, access records, timestamps that showed Derek had been systematically spying on his own sister. The room went quiet. Gregory flipped through the documents, his expression hardening. He looked at Derek and asked if this was true. Derek said he had been conducting due diligence. Gregory said it looked like corporate espionage. Another board member said it was grounds for immediate removal. Adam said he had stayed because Luna was the best person to run this company, contract or no contract. He said he had seen her work harder than anyone he had ever met. He said she had not manipulated anyone. She had just refused to let an outdated rule destroy everything she had built. He said if the board wanted to punish someone, they should punish the system that forced her into this position in the first place. The room went quiet again. Gregory looked at Derek, then at Luna, then at Adam. He said the board needed time to deliberate. He asked everyone except the board members to leave the room. Luna, Adam, and Derek filed out into the hallway. Derek glared at Adam and said he had just made a very big mistake. Adam said he did not think so. Derek walked away without another word. Luna and Adam stood in the hallway, waiting. Neither of them spoke. After 30 minutes, the door opened, and Gregory stepped out. He said the board had reached a decision. Derek was being removed from his position on the board for ethical violations and abuse of executive access. Luna would retain her position as vice president, but the marriage contract had to be dissolved within 30 days. The board would also be reviewing the terms of the will with legal counsel to determine if the marriage clause could be challenged or removed entirely. Gregory said it was not a perfect outcome, but it was the best they could do given the circumstances. He told Luna she was lucky to have someone willing to stand up for her the way Adam had. Then he went back into the boardroom and closed the door. Luna turned to Adam, and for a long moment, she just looked at him. Then she said, "Thank you." Adam said she did not need to thank him. She said she did. They left the building together and walked to the parking garage in silence. When they got to Luna's car, she stopped and turned to face him. She said the contract was over. He did not have to stay. Adam said he knew. Luna asked if he was going to leave. Adam said he did not know yet. He said he needed to figure out what his life looked like now that it was not being dictated by a piece of paper. Luna nodded. She said she understood. Then she got in her car and drove away. Adam stood there in the parking garage, watching her taillights disappear, and felt something heavy settle in his chest. He had won. They had both won. But it did not feel like victory. It felt like the end of something he had not realized he wanted to keep. 2 weeks later, Adam moved his things out of the penthouse. Luna was not there when he left. She had said goodbye the night before, standing in the doorway of his room, telling him she hoped he found whatever it was he was looking for. Adam had said the same to her. He went back to his old apartment, back to his old life, back to the rhythm he had known before Luna Sterling had walked into it. He picked up his daughter from daycare, made her dinner, read her a bedtime story. Everything was the same, except it was not. Because he kept thinking about the woman in the penthouse, the one who had bought his time but had somehow ended up with more than that. 3 days after he moved out, His phone buzzed with a message. It was from Luna. It said she wanted to meet, not as his boss, not as his ex-wife, just as herself. Adam stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed back and said yes. They met at a coffee shop on the east side, the kind of place with mismatched chairs and indie music playing too loud. Luna was already there when Adam arrived, sitting by the window with a cup of tea in front of her. She was wearing jeans and a plain white shirt, no makeup, her hair pulled back. She looked nervous. Adam had never seen her look nervous before. He sat down across from her and said hello. Luna said hello back. Then she said she had been thinking about the last few months, about everything that had happened, about the way it had ended. She said she had spent so long pretending to be someone she was not, that she had forgotten what it felt like to just be honest. She said she wanted to try that now. With him, if he was willing. Adam asked what that meant. Luna said it meant no contract, no performance, no conditions. Just two people who had been through something strange and difficult together, trying to figure out if there was something real underneath all of it. She said she did not know if it would work, but she wanted to try. She asked if he did too. Adam looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the woman who had stood in front of a boardroom and refused to apologize. The woman who had sat with him in the dark and told him the truth. The woman who had smiled at his daughter in the park like she was trying to remember what it felt like to want something simple. He said yes, he wanted to try. Luna smiled, and it was not the cold, controlled smile she wore in meetings. It was real. She said good. Then she asked him the question that had started all of this, the one that had been hanging between them since the first day. She said so. Are we sharing a bed? Adam laughed. He said maybe, but not tonight. Luna said that was fair. They sat there for a while, drinking coffee and talking about nothing in particular, and for the first time since they had met, neither of them was pretending. They were just two people trying to figure out what came next, and that, Adam thought, was a pretty good place to start.